moment my daughter handed the police a document claiming I was mentally incompetent, I realized something terrifying. My own children weren't trying to help me. They were trying to erase me. And yes, this is a real story. My name is Chen. I'm 68 years old. And 6 months ago, I discovered my own children were secretly planning to declare me insane, sell my house, steal my business, and lock me in a nursing home for the rest of my life. But they made one mistake. They forgot I've spent 50 years building things with precision. And when I realized what they were doing, I didn't fight them. I built a trap they walked straight into. If you've ever been betrayed by people you trusted the most, then you'll understand why this story still keeps me awake some nights. Before I tell you everything that happened, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that sometimes the people who hurt us the most are the ones we trusted the most. Seattle has a kind of rain that never really stops. It just drifts in and out of the sky like the city is breathing. My workshop sat behind my house in Ballard, a small wooden building that smelled like cedar, walnut, and decades of sawdust ground into the concrete floor. I've been building furniture there for nearly 50 years. Not the kind of furniture you assemble with tiny metal screws and a folded instruction sheet. Real furniture. Solid wood. Hand-cut joints. Tables meant to last longer than the people who ordered them. Cabinets that would still be standing when their grandchildren were old. Every piece I finished had my name burned into the underside. Chen. My wife Diane used to joke that I trusted wood more than I trusted people. She wasn't entirely wrong. Wood doesn't pretend to be something it's not. If you look closely at the grain, it tells you everything you need to know. People are harder to read. Diane died 3 years ago. Pancreatic cancer. 4 months from diagnosis to funeral. 41 years of marriage ended so quickly it felt like someone had pulled the floor out from under my life. After she was gone, the house became quiet in a way I had never experienced before. Too quiet. The kind of quiet where every clock tick feels louder than it should. But I kept working. Work gave structure to the days. I woke up at 7 every morning, made coffee, walked to the workshop, and spent the day shaping wood into something useful. Kept my mind sharp. It kept me from thinking too much about the empty chair at the dinner table. Diane and I had 2 children, Nicole and Brian. Nicole was the older one. She lived in Portland with her husband Trevor. She worked in pharmaceutical sales, which meant she had the kind of polished confidence that could sell almost anything if she smiled long enough. Trevor was a real estate investor. The type of man who looked at houses and only saw numbers. Brian lived across Lake Washington in Bellevue with his wife Jessica. He worked for a tech startup managing operations. Jessica ran a lifestyle blog filled with photos of coffee cups, travel pictures, and long captions about living intentionally. They had 2 kids, my grandchildren. I loved those kids, but I didn't see them very often. After Diane died, my children called regularly at first. Every Sunday evening. They asked how I was doing, whether I needed anything, whether I was keeping up with the house. But slowly the calls became shorter. Then they started skipping weeks. Eventually months would pass without hearing from them. I didn't complain. People have busy lives. I understood that. Besides, I wasn't lonely the way people assumed I should be. My workshop kept me busy. I had orders backed up for months. Restaurant owners who wanted custom tables. Couples who wanted bedroom sets that would become family heirlooms. Life was simple, quiet, independent. And apparently that independence bothered my children more than I realized. The first warning came on a rainy afternoon in November. I was finishing the drawer fronts on a walnut credenza when my phone buzzed on the workbench. Nicole. She had already called twice that week, which was unusual. When I answered, she didn't waste much time with small talk. Dad, Brian and I were thinking about Thanksgiving this year, she said. What if we hosted it at your place? That was strange. For years Thanksgiving had always been at Nicole's house in Portland. Why the change? I asked. Oh, we just thought it would be nice, she said quickly. Your house has more space. And honestly, Dad, we haven't seen the place in a while. We want to make sure you're keeping up with everything. keeping up with everything. It was a strange phrase to use with your father. Still, I agreed. I figured it meant I'd see the grandkids a little longer than usual. Thanksgiving arrived cold and clear. Nicole and Trevor showed up first, carrying grocery bags and smiling like they were arriving at a business meeting. Brian and Jessica arrived an hour later with the kids. First, everything felt normal. Nicole took over the kitchen. Jessica started setting the table. Trevor walked around complimenting the house. But after a while I started noticing small things. Trevor pulled out his phone and started taking pictures of different rooms. When I asked why, he said he just loved the craftsmanship of old houses. Brian spent almost 20 minutes inside my workshop. When he came back into the house, he looked uneasy. "Dad, are you still taking new commissions?" he asked. "Of course," I said. He nodded slowly. "That's a lot of responsibility." Responsibility. The way he said it made it sound like I was doing something reckless. Dinner itself was pleasant enough. The food was good. The conversation stayed light. But every once in a while I'd catch them exchanging glances. Nicole would look at Brian. Brian would give a small nod. Trevor would check something on his phone, like they were following some invisible script. After dessert, Nicole cleared her throat and leaned forward slightly. "Dad, we've been thinking about something," she said. The room suddenly felt very quiet. Trevor folded his hands on the table. Brian avoided looking directly at me. Nicole slid a glossy brochure across the table. It showed a beautiful retirement community. Big windows, landscape gardens, smiling elderly people playing games on green lawns. "Dad," Nicole said gently, "we just want you to think about simplifying things." That was the moment the first crack appeared. Because suddenly I understood something I hadn't realized before. They weren't visiting for Thanksgiving. They were evaluating me. And that dinner table conversation was just the beginning of a plan that would eventually lead to police standing in my living room with a court order. And my own daughter claiming I wasn't capable of running my own life anymore. But by the time they made that move, I was already several steps ahead of them.